Welcome to VoteProPot-Cast, the award-winning cannabis news podcast brought to you by VoteProPot.com.
A comprehensive cannabis reform bill is unveiled in the Senate this week. Applause, applause, applause. The FBI loosens its marijuana employment policy for would-be agents. Jay's got some interesting insights on that, as well as an article about sports and weed. Sha'Carri Richardson and Ricky Williams talk about getting hit by antiquated drug rules. We've got all of that, and I mean all of it, and
every
more.
Every ounce.
Every bit. But first, it's been a couple of weeks. How you guys doing? Welcome, everybody, and I'm glad you're all here for another fabulous episode of Vote Pro Podcast. How is your guys' 4th of July?
Great. We took a little hiatus. We've been gone for a couple weeks. Yeah.
I went to Nashville to visit my son and his girlfriend who are living there, and it was fun, man. I had a good time. It was cool.
Hey, I hear they play both kinds of music down there, country and western.
And the thing is, it was nuts. I mean, because it was 4th of July weekend, and they had, if you've been to Broadway, I went down that main street with all the bars and stuff, which is a lot of fun. I mean, I'm too old for it. I'm like the oldest guy in every bar, but it's still cool to check out. They have these bars,
oh God, being the old guy at the bar.
Yeah, the creepy dude, And but at the very bottom of Broadway is the water, the river, and they had this tremendous stage set up there. I guess what's his name? Brad Paisley was playing for the 4th of July, I think. So there were 10 zillion people. Yeah. But it was a lot of fun, man. It was a good time. All of us walked around. It was my daughter's 25th birthday, so we kind of celebrated. It was fun. What did you guys do?
Well, I went down to kind of your neck of the woods, the northern neck to be precise, northern neck of Virginia, which is right on.
Nobody knows where that is.
It's right on the Chesapeake Bay. It's kind of right where the Chesapeake Bay meets the ocean,
meets the Potomac River.
Yes,
meets the bay.
Meets the bay, and it all kind of all these little creeks and inlets, and I 2 of my 4 sisters. I've got a lot of family members, and they each have homes down there, about 10 minutes apart, and right on the bay. And I got to tell you, this was kind of a first for me. This was really exciting. I actually saw in the wild, flying across the sky, a freaking bald eagle.
Oh, yeah. We see them down there a lot.
On the 4th of July. Amazing? Now, how much more patriotic can you be?
That's great.
If I'd have had a flag in my hand, I'd have waved it.
Now, did a firework explode next to him, take him out?
Oh, no. The fireworks, I think they survived the fireworks. But, my sister has, a certain amount of land there, and they go up to Pennsylvania or sometimes down to South Carolina, and they bring in, the real deal fireworks. I'm talking about the heavy artillery.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And
the mortars.
The stuff the real deal. And we're, setting them, watching them going off right above our heads, I'm sure it was dangerous as hell, but, it's 4th of July. We're all.
I remember about 20 years ago, I had a brand new boat, and I was out on them by myself fishing and smoking a doob, and I saw a bald eagle in a tree on the other side of the shore, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And I had my camera on my phone. I was like, "I'm gonna get a picture of this bitch." So I started my motor, and I've got an inboard, outboard, and I started creeping up towards him. And all of a sudden, it felt like there was something wrong with my motor, and I was trying to get closer to the shore to get a nice, good picture, and I kind of gunned it. I forgot to pull my anchor in. I heard this snap, and the rope went flying across, missed my face by like 6 inches.
Oh my god!
So that's my bald eagle story.
Well, yeah, you
Aren't
fucked
you glad
up.
I told that one?
Yeah, it doesn't cast you in such a great light, but the bald eagle is magnificent.
Right.
Yeah, they're beautiful. They're cool creatures, man. They really are.
Yeah.
Well, I just moved into a new apartment, so I'm getting unpacked and trying to set things up, and I also just had all these surgeries on my left leg, and or actually on both legs, but more on the left, and I sort of hurt my foot, stubbed my toe, or just hit my leg, and so I took a painkiller and I laid down and I watched the 4th of July fireworks in New York City.
Uh-huh.
Which was pretty cool.
Your old stomping grounds.
Yeah. and I fell asleep. That was my 4th of July.
Well, Andrew had Phil and I over this week. What day was it? Monday or Tuesday? We came over at dinner. He cooked us dinner. It was fun, man. Put us to work, carrying all his trash out to his dumpster.
Yeah,
I had all these boxes from moving, and they're in the way. I couldn't carry them. I'm sorry. I have a hard time walking and carrying things and walking. Yeah. It's just.
Hey, you're doing great, man.
To use a little Southern vernacular, the boy knows how to burn.
Oh, man, I'm telling you.
Boy can burn.
We had what do we have? We had chicken lasagna, and we had a peach, what is it?
Tart.
A cobbler?
Oh, my gosh.
Tart. Yeah.
Make you want to slap your mom.
Good stuff. So
it was good. Anyways, but
weed.
Guys.
And the onion dip. Forgot about the onion dip.
An onion dip, right.
I made onion dip from scratch, which is one of my faves.
My breath hasn't been right since.
I know. With roasted garlic.
Bathe in that stuff. It was so good. So here's the deal. And I was going to get to this soon or shortly, but I'll get to it now. We've got a comprehensive cannabis reform bill unveiled in the Senate, and it's not a perfect bill, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, one last thing about 4th of July. When we were in high school and young men, every 4th of July, we used to go down to the mall and we lived outside of Washington, D.C.
Because we're in D.C.
For the Great American Smokeout. We'd go down there and it would just be thousands of people. We'd all just huddle together and smoke weed. Yeah. And the philosophy was there's too many people
to arrest. Yeah. And there were. They didn't arrest anybody.
Well, I don't know. I think they did a few times, but...
I think they were more arresting the drunkards than the
the people that were assholes.
The disorderlies. Yeah,
the assholes.
We just went deep into the crowd and sat in a circle and fired. We
fired up.
Fucking.
They had like the Beach Boys every year.
Oh yeah.
Bunch of bands you never heard of. I think they had Tower of Power.
I've heard of the Beach Boys.
That was incredible.
It was Chicago and the Beach Boys.
All right, where were you, Phil? Let's get back to weed.
Well, getting back to a little weed news, and this is not a little bit weed news. This is a lot of weed news. What. The thing that Chuck Schumer has been promising us that he was going to do soon, that he was going to do shortly, he and his compatriots there in the Senate have done. They unveiled comprehensive cannabis legalization bill in the Senate. And let's hear a little applause for that. There we go.
There we go.
All right. Yeah. And it's now what's in this bill? Well, let's talk about it. First of all, it would federally deschedule cannabis from the Controlled Substances Act, which is really the big one.
That's the big one.
It's not rescheduling.
No,
descheduling.
And that's the one that's going to be hard to get everyone to agree on.
Well, yes, and that's the focal point of the whole thing, but it also expunges prior convictions for cannabis possession. And, if you think, and I think Cory Booker made this observation, and he's one of the three who is there to unveil the bill. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer.
As well he should be.
Ron Wyden, the committee chairman, Senate Finance Committee chairman, from Oregon, and Cory Booker of New Jersey. And Booker was talking about this expunging thing, saying, you think this is not a big deal. You think people aren't being arrested for cannabis anymore. You better think again.
600,000 a year.
A year. And it's absolutely ridiculous. So what else does it do? This is an important one. It transfers regulatory authority of cannabis from the Drug Enforcement Administration to the Food and Drug Administration and some other aspects to other agencies. But this is an important...
the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Oh, is that going to be better?
Yeah, because it's going to be treated like tobacco.
Right. It's going to be treated like tobacco and alcohol. It's going to be a food and drug and health issue. It is not... When you take it away from the Drug Enforcement Administration, it ceases to be a legal issue, a law enforcement issue. So that is an important distinction. That's an important change. It would also impose federal tax on cannabis products. which I'm really not thrilled with. The states are already doing it. But this is something Booker really wanted because they're going to use a portion of those. And remember, understand they always say a portion of those tax revenues are to be earmarked for reinvestment into communities hardest hit by this failed war on drugs. So that's an important thing that Booker has been pushing for. So there's a bunch of other things that the bill provides for, but those are the main ones.
And let me just say this. The libertarian in me, really, my stomach turns at this, and here's why. You've got states like California, places like LA and Oakland, their tax rates are approaching 40%. When you take California state and local taxes. Now you've got the government putting 25% on it. How the hell are you going to keep black market? Who's going to be able to afford the weed when you have a combined 65% tax or 60% tax? Is ridiculous. Yeah. And, all these programs and, that's my problem with so many of these politicians is to them, it's not just it's not just the social equity or the legalization, it's the cash. It's more money, it's more government control, it's more power. Well, and of course, I'm speaking as the libertarian here, but that really bothers
the libertarian instinct in me feels the same way.
Well, here's what they're proposing. The tax starts, I think, at 10%, but it escalates over a period of 4 or 5 years all the way up to 20 or 25%. So think about it. You got a 25% federal tax and then at least 25% tax in most of the legal states. And some of them, it's higher than that. Like I said, places in California, it's approaching 40%. What the hell?
Right. Well, that's
why, the black market in California is 3 times the legal market.
Well, and it always will be because what did California, we did a report on this 2 weeks ago, their governor just proposed a law, which is going to be passed more than likely, to spend another $100 million in California for the weed market. But they don't lower the taxes. They just pump more money into it. That's the typical kind of, political way of looking at things. Let's just throw more money at it. It's not our money. I think at some point the government's going to have to back off a little on these taxes, It's just going to be, it's just too imposing on the market.
It's going to make it really hard for business, for people in the cannabis industry to make money.
Bingo.
Bingo. And it seems to me those are the people that are going to rock the boat and maybe get things changed.
And I really recommend, we did an interview last week or the last show, 2 weeks ago, with a guy out of Oakland who's a CEO of a vertical cannabis company there who's doing his own thing in terms of social equity. And it's working. What he does is I'm sorry, I don't have his name. Kevin O'Hasey, I think it is, or Hennessy. I apologize. I don't have his name in front of me. But my point is he's taken it upon himself because Oakland has one of the most aggressive and progressive social equity programs in the country, but he still doesn't like the way they're doing it because what they're doing is just throwing money in terms of loans to minorities and inner city folks who want to start a business. That sounds great, but the problem is most of these folks, he says, don't have any experience in business. So what they have to do is they have to guarantee the loans personally. So they're getting loans in amounts of $100,000. It might be $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 to start a business. And then if it fails, they're on the hook for that money. Now, what he's doing is he is hiring 50% of his employees are residents of Oakland, and 50% of those, I think it was, have previously been incarcerated.
Okay,
that's taking social equity on without the government. It's just the business doing it. So,
well, I think that's kind of part of the role of good corporate citizenship, and I think we're seeing a lot more of that than we ever saw before, and across industries, really, not just.
I think we are too.
And I think it's I'm 100% for it. Number one, because it's voluntary. number two, because like you say, it has real impact because it's doing something more than spending other people's money. It's actually insisting on certain policies and reaching out to those who, you want to help in real concrete ways, with jobs, with experience, with training, So I appreciate that part of it.
But folks like me wonder, who is best to provide that kind of progress? Is it the government or is it the business and the individual? That's always been the question. Maybe so.
Maybe so.
I think one other thing we should talk about, because this is a huge story, so we can spend some time on it. That's this proposed bill. Is that a couple of things they do? They need to get Republicans on board, and they need to get the president on board. That's the biggest obstacle, and the biggest obstacle is not just the Republicans; it's the president.
Well, but don't assume that this is going to sail through with with all the Democrats either, because there are folks like there's Joe Manchin. Is he going to vote for it? Jeanne Shaheen. Is she going to vote for it? They're saying some things like, well, maybe descheduling is not what we want. So with each one of those who peels off, that's another Republican you have to add. And do they need to get to 60? Or can they pass this with a 51% vote majority, with a simple majority? I'm not sure what the rule's going to be on this. Are they going to, because at this point, there's still such a thing in the Senate as a filibuster, and there may be people who want us filibuster.
Well, I think smartly, one of the things they've done in this bill to attract and to kind of help that is they still have language in this bill that allows states to opt out. If a state wants to be elite, they still can. So that's aimed at Republicans who have to be careful. But that doesn't answer the question of Biden.
It's going to be like liquor laws. There's still counties that are dry for prohibition.
True. Right. And I think that's smart.
Right. That's fine. If the people want to vote on it, fine.
Well, Psaki was asked in a press conference yesterday about this bill, and here's what she said.
Does President Biden endorse Senator Schumer's bill on marijuana?
I've spoken in the past about the president's views on marijuana. Nothing has changed. There's no new endorsements of legislation to report today.
Well, and I think it's clear that they seem to be. I don't want to say digging in their heels, but they're not moving anywhere. And nor is, of course, the president campaigned on his support for decriminalizing on the federal level and rescheduling to, I think, Schedule 2. And we've talked about this, but he hasn't done anything on either score. So I guess, this is just, you may be right. This may be all for nothing. It passes the House, it passes the Senate, and it gets to the president's desk and Biden vetoes it.
I'm not worried about that. I think because Kamala has keys to the Oval Office and she can forge a signature.
She's been working on that.
Yeah,
practicing.
That's why we haven't seen her, because she's been practicing.
Yeah, she's been in the closet practicing Joe Biden.
Well, we'll keep an eye on it because it is a huge story. It's one of the biggest
But that's the thing about it, though, is it's becoming more and more mainstream. Like I was watching the Today Show the other morning, and they have a segment, which I believe is an ongoing segment, called Red, White, and Green. They're talking about cannabis, and the story they were talking about. And this is big news, guys. Apparently, they have been growing marijuana. The government's been growing marijuana for research down in Mississippi.
What?
Yeah, and apparently, they said it's suck-ass weed.
It sucks.
And I've never heard that.
Right, yeah. Right. Well, no, yeah, because VoteProPot.
We talk about it all the time.
This last year.
Everybody knows.
Yeah, we all know this. Yeah. And they interviewed the guy who's in charge down there, and he was saying, "Man, he goes, man, I'd like to get a hold of some of the weed these guys are growing." Because he knew he said it's obvious, man. That there's so many different strains and so many different compounds and different ratios that to study cannabis, man, you got to study a lot of plants. There's a lot of.
So I don't know. What I've never understood is why does does Mississippi grow the shit weed after all these years? I mean, they could have
been growing the same weed for all these years.
Is that right?
Yeah.
The same strain? Or?
They're probably growing some strain they got back in the 1970s. There's like a handful of people who would get marijuana from the government for glaucoma.
Yeah.
Remember those people?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
It comes in a tin can.
Right.
That's the weed. That's the weed. And apparently they freeze it. They freeze it. And they showed some of it. And it just looked like shake. It looked like, like
the sticks and leaves.
But even if it was good quality weed, it's just the one strain. How much research can you do on one strain? It's just like you said, there's so much to know about this.
Right.
Well, apparently some universities, like remember we did a story of how Harvard University, since cannabis is legal now in Massachusetts, Harvard said, we're just going to go down and buy it from in the corner.
Buy it.
And then we're going to study it. We're all going, they're not going to send, a SWAT team. I mean, would you love to see that YouTube video go viral? SWAT team, storming Harvard.
Storming Harvard University.
Harvard Medical School, right. It's great.
Storming the lab.
No, but what they will do.
Okay, chaps, I want you all to come out with your hands up.
And what they are going to do.
This is a raid.
They're going to cut the federal funding.
Right. That's what
university doesn't get money from the federal government?
I've got another government story here, or sort of related, real short. That's the FBI announced this week that they're loosening their cannabis employment policy for would-be agents. And now, according to the internet, which is never wrong, they are now candidates who want to join the FBI, as long as they're clean. They're asked a question: have you ever used drugs? Have you ever used cannabis? Have you ever smoked marijuana? If you said yes in the past, anytime in your past,
I should say,
you're gone.
Done.
No, sorry, we're not interested.
You.
Now, as long as you answer the question, I haven't used it in the last year, you're still eligible. So that's kind of like Andrew just said that. I mean, in terms of kind of acceptance.
That's fine. That's fine. But I read an article that apparently the FBI was looking for people to be part of their computer crimes division. They're looking for hackers, people that really can handle it. And,
cybersecurity guys.
And they said all of them couldn't pass a drug test.
Sure.
All the best ones.
No, and they said it was all marijuana. It wasn't like they're crackheads.
Right. No.
It was all weed. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because they're gamers, man. I mean, they're smoking weed and playing, and
eating Hot Pockets, man. That's
eating Hot Pockets on the couch, and Mom,
really,
meatloaf,
really. Johnny,
but you need them to capture that flag. They'll capture the flag.
Right. So I don't see that. I think everyone's finally realizing that marijuana is not the fucking devil's weed. It's not going to kill anyone. And guess what?
And it never was.
Most people are smoking it anyway.
Yeah, right. Especially these guys.
Those people, like Richard Branson, I'm sure he smokes weed. And Elon, we've seen Elon smoke weed.
Oh, yeah.
And there's...
Well, they'll never amount to anything. Those little degenerates.
Right. And there's brilliant, well-educated, people that smoke weed.
Absolutely. I mean, all of them have, Bill Gates, all those guys said, I smoke
2 of
weed.
the last 4 presidents have admitted to smoking weed.
Right, exactly.
So,
exactly.
Shut up.
I have to ask this question to you guys. What do you think? Because there's 2 sides to this story, this Richardson story, the Olympics. The runner.
Man.
Oh, yes.
I mean, you got on the one side, like, what bullshit? What did it? Her mom died or something, and she smoked some weed. And,
in a legal state. She
legally
smoked it.
Yeah.
Right. And then you got the other story. Well, she knew the rules going in. So where do you guys stand on this, Phil?
Well, I think if it's a rule, you have to enforce the rule. You can't, because then somebody else, gets nicked and it's uneven application of the law. You can't really do that.
How else do rules get changed?
But you got to change the rule.
Well,
it's a stupid rule.
Guess what? Now's the time to change it this week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. But I feel bad that Sha'Carri doesn't get to participate in the Olympics.
That makes me upset. As she's worked all her life to get there.
Right.
It's really sad.
I think she's just going to miss the 100-yard. She might still, because it's only a 1 month thing. I think it's her suspension expires halfway through the Olympics.
I didn't realize that.
I
guess I should have read the whole article.
That's what it is.
Oh, well, that would be nice. So
Well, yeah,
at least
she
she
might be
can
in the relay
compete
or
somewhere
something,
along the line.
Okay. But still, they were looking for her to win those 2 races.
Yeah, she was
And
favored
now-
to take the gold.
Yeah, or to go up against some other.
But here's
really-
another thing. Also, there's kind of a precedent. I don't know. A couple Olympics back, there was an American snowboarder who won the gold. He then tested positive for marijuana.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And they took his medal away. Then they reversed it and gave it back to him and said, we're going to give it back to him because marijuana is not a performance-enhancing drug.
And I think most people would agree with that. So,
Right. Wow.
So
I don't know. What do you think will happen with this, guys? Do you think she's done? I mean, that's it. She's not going to get to compete in those early competitions, or are they going to? Do you think they might give her a waiver?
I really couldn't. I don't have.
I don't know.
I don't know enough about the Olympic Committee to say how what their makeup is and how staunch they are. But I don't think anyone's going to change the rules for this year's Olympics.
Yeah.
So I think they're, like I said, they're going to be inclined, if that's the rule, to enforce the rule. But after this, I think you're right, Andrew. This is how these stupid rules get changed, is when people see how stupid it is.
yeah, because of the stupid rule, the best is not the best. The person who takes the gold wasn't the best.
Yeah, this has been blown up on social media,
Yeah.
of course, and Twitter. And I there was an article or comment made by Ricky Williams. Remember him?
Of course.
One of the great runners of all
Great
time.
running back.
Great. I mean, he was, at the University of Texas, and he set records that still stand. He had over 2,000 yards and 27 touchdowns.
Played
The guy
for
was
the Miami
amazing.
Dolphins. He was
And he got suspended a couple times, right? Remember, for weed? And he made a claim on, I think, Twitter or in an article just the other day that said, if it weren't for the NFL rules and cannabis and marijuana use, I'd be in the Hall of Fame. And he's right.
I have no doubt that he would.
Absolutely right. No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. And that's kind of sad, when you look at it now, because all the U.S. pro sports, baseball, football, basketball, hockey, boxing, they're all changing their testing rules to allow cannabis use. They're all either in the process
relaxing them or just doing away with it entirely.
Right. Even
delisting
golf.
it. Yeah.
Even golf.
Is that right? Even golf?
Yeah, remember?
Golf isn't really a sport, so
Oh, I think you're going to get some letters for that.
I'm
one.
going to get some email.
Oh my goodness!
No. Why should we start getting letters now? We never got one before.
We got some now and then.
I don't know. I think
We
Ricky
just haven't
Williams is right.
antagonized anyone in our audience that
And
way.
then you got to wonder if the NFL changes its rule completely, allows cannabis use, doesn't test for it. Will the committee go back and maybe give him an opportunity to make the Canton and Hall of Fame?
Maybe.
They should.
But yeah.
He deserves it because you know what? He's a good person too. I think he's a good guy.
Yeah, I've
who just
seen
happened
interviews with him, and he's very likable.
He is. So
Damn stoner.
What the hell?
Well, folks, we joke about getting emails, but we would love to see yours. Send us an email at podcast@votepropot.com. Call our message line. What's the number for that, Jay?
240-257-2441.
We would love to hear from you. Go to votepropot.com, send us a message, and we would love for you to tell some friends about. Now, a lot of folks are on vacation this time of year, and I know I intend to be soon. But, when y'all get back into the thick of things, check us out, tell a friend, invite some people, get all the news, because this stuff isn't going away, folks. It's happening. So you're going to want to keep abreast of it. What else, Drew?
There is a lot happening politically with cannabis, and a lot of people are saying, why even care about it anymore? It's old news, but it really isn't. It's current news. How it gets legalized and the regulations set up have not really been determined. That's what we need to be part of, and that's why the public needs to speak out. But in the meantime, there is so much going on, we can't share it all here on our lovely little podcast here. But we do share a lot on social networking. So please go to Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter and do a search for VoteProPot.